Tommy, nice to see you. Thank you very much indeed for joining me on New Year's Eve. First of all, how's the squad been since Boxing Day, and have they recovered? Any health and injury worries since then?
Everybody came through the game unscathed. We haven't had anybody not train since the previous game, so it's been a good week of preparation. Obviously, the lads who weren't available for that game have edged themselves a little bit closer also. So, yeah, we're in good shape health-wise. And we're much closer to having one or two more bodies to pick from. So it's been a good week in that respect, following the win over at Boston.
Thinking about the fact it's Boston again tomorrow, is the planning that you as coaches, manager do with the players and the squad different, the fact that it's back-to-back games against the same opposition, or is it just business as usual? How do you treat it?
It's an unusual situation, but it's one that you know is coming from very early on in the season. In fact, we had a shorter turnaround with the Kettering game actually, as we drew them in the FA Cup. So it's something we're used to, or we've experienced. I think what it is, from the players' point of view, they probably hadn't seen visually what we were describing to them until we did before the first game. But now they've seen it firsthand, on the same pitch as them. They'll have an idea of the way and the style and the approach that Boston had to the game, as much as they have seen us. So we can't hide anything from each other. We each laid a card last weekend, and I'm sure there may be one or two shuffles in both packs. But ultimately, Boston know what we do, and we know what they do now. So again, as I said to you before the first game, it's the next game in our fixture list, so it's the most important one. And as we always do, we try to start off a game and try and take all 3 points. If we can't take all three, we try to make sure that we take something from the game.
Fantastic. The speculation and the build-up by the fans and the spectators and people in general has been a little bit about the return of Ian Culverhouse to Kings Lynn Town. Does that impact on you in this instance, the fact that he's coming back into the walks? How do you see that, and what's your feelings about
that? It's nonplussed, really, to be honest with you. Ian happens to be the manager of the opposition in that game. And that also happens to be our nearest opponent in this division. So, I understand the history and everything else about it, but ultimately, like I've said before, Ian did a good job and did very well at times at this football club. When managers leave football clubs, there's often a lot left untold, and I think sometimes people will pick up and run with whatever they hear from whoever they hear it from, and you never hear both sides of the story. So from that point of view, I said it to you, eventually when I've moved on for whatever reason, whether I get the sack or whatever, I mightn't be talked about as fondly as I am just now, because it's all gone quite okay for me so far. But look, listen, I respect Ian Culverhouse. I respect his career as a footballer and as a manager, and I've no doubt he'll get more points on the board than they've had so far. But I just don't want that to start on New Year's Day. So if we can repeat what we did over in Boston, then that'll be a great Christmas week for us. But like I said, we're under no illusion. If you look at the scores on Boxing Day, the majority of the teams that took 3 points will not be complacent about taking another 3 points. It's a completely different game. Like I said, playing at home and away these days is a very different thing. Sometimes when it's built up like a derby, it's actually tougher for the home side. If I'm honest with you, because there's more pressure. There's often a lot more home fans than away fans, so you expected to be on the front foot. You expected to win the game. I'm sure they were at their end. And we put a spanner in the works. We just got to make sure that we nick their spanner before they put it in our works.
Tommy, thank you very much indeed. It's New Year's Eve. I wish you well. I'll see you tomorrow, sir.